Donald Trump pretty much sealing the deal last night with Ted Cruz bowing out and suspending his presidential campaign. So is there any scenario now where Trump is not the Republican nominee? Well, joining me now, our Republican political panel. Welcome Republican strategist Kathy Lynn Taylor and Republican strategist and former communications aide to the McCain-Palin presidential campaign, Boris Epstein. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
It was a big night, Boris. You've been talking about Trump being the nominee for some time. Is it, though, officially over after last night?
Well, it won't be officially over until the convention, right? He is a presumptive nominee. Runs previous, the chair of the Republican National Committee tweeted and said that. So there are, listen, we could all draw up some sort of fantastic scenarios where Trump is not the nominee, but he is. And if you look at the numbers, as we were talking about earlier, from 1047 to 1237 is actually a pretty quick march because there's a lot of states left. States like New Jersey, where it's winner take all, California, Nevada, California, New Mexico, Nebraska. So very important states that have a lot of delegates that get Trump to that 1237. If he's going to be the nominee, we need to focus on Hillary.
Is there any real scenario, Kathy, where we will see a contested convention?
I don't think so at all, and I don't think anybody else thinks so, even John Kasich, though he's staying in it. I mean, look, if you take all of the delegates from all of the other candidates, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, who still has more delegates than John Kasich, by the way, Carly Fiorina, Jeb Bush, and the remaining 520 delegates, and put them all together, you barely get over the 1237, not by too much. And if so, you know, someone like John Kasich would need to win well more than 50% of those and get every single other delegate out there. It just can't happen. It's not going to happen. And voters have made it pretty clear in a pretty decided way, that Donald Trump is their nominee.
Well, and the convention is going to be all about bringing the Republican Party together.
That's right. That's what the agenda
was calling for unity last night, saying that we really need to come together. But the Never Trump movement is still fighting hard. They're saying they're not going anywhere. There has been quite a division this primary cycle. Boris, can you see the party coming together?
Absolutely. If you look at what happened in 2000, there was a huge divide between the Bush backers and the McCain backers. And the McCain people said, we're never going to back Bush. What happened as the general election went on, came closer to November, Republican Party coalesced around Bush. The same exact thing is going to happen in this election. I fully expect it. The Never Trump people may stick around, and maybe some of them that stay very loud and oppose Trump, but really most Republicans are going to become Never Hillary, or looks like there's still a chance, Never Bernie, which will be great for us as Republicans.
So Ted Cruz dropped out last night, but there's still someone else in the race. John Kasich is still, and I know the question is, why in the world is he still running? I want to pull up these polls. This is really an interesting thing. When you look at voters in Ohio, the one state that he won, 49% think that it is time for him to drop out, compared to 38% who say that he should stay. And you compare that to the same poll that was done, I think it was taken back in March. You had 34% who thought he should drop out, compared to 52% who said he should continue on. So that's a big change, Kathy.
It is a big change. And look, John Kasich is trying to be the Cinderella team, but he's had a very tough bracket. And, you know, I give him a lot of credit. He's lasted a long time in a very crowded race. But at this point, he has to make a trade-off between the 1% chance that something will happen that keeps Trump from securing that. It's not even 1%, that 1237. I mean, it's really not. Maybe it's 1/4%. And the 99.75% that he will be the nomination. He has an obligation to his constituents. He has a reputation to uphold of being a sound and good governor and politician. And so he needs to make that trade-off now.
But couldn't every candidate make that argument? I owe it to my constituents.
There's a reason.
No, owe it to his constituents to go back and govern.
Yeah,
right. I mean, I'm saying, look, he has to look at the investment of taxpayer dollars and investors in his campaign, people who are funding him, and his obligation to governing versus to continue on in the race. And that's the trade-off, I think, is starting to distort the wrong way for him.
Well, and it's a good point. It's why a lot of people are wondering why he hasn't already dropped out.
It's getting embarrassing for him. You know, all the things about, oh, he's staying in because he wants to eat sushi in California. It's getting
They do have good sushi, though.
They do have great sushi. It's getting embarrassing. But you know what? There's a reason why candidates do not any longer fully drop out. They suspend their campaigns.
That's right.
So that keeps it open to that 0.001%
That's
shot.
Right.
So he should just do that, go back to Ohio, which is a very important state with a lot of problems, govern, and really stand up for those constituents that want him to come home, as the polls show.
Well, he'll certainly be getting more pressure, I think, after what happened last night.
Especially from Reince Priebus and people from the RNC now who are going to be backing Trump and coalescing around him, wanting for Kasich.
Right, and Krista made an excellent point a few minutes ago, which is it is really unprecedented and very, very impressive that Donald Trump has gotten to this point and secured the nomination essentially at this point in the race, and the Democratic candidates have not gotten there yet. And so let's use that time, let's use that momentum, let's be very smart about our messaging and really seize the day.
Isn't that fascinating? This race has been so unpredictable.
I don't think Trump focused on Kasich much. Even Kasich sticks in it.
Oh, he's going after Hillary now.
I would be surprised he mentioned Kasich much in any of his speeches.
Well, and I think we're going to see, as we did last night, a more still unpredictable, but a more presidential Trump emerge, and that's going to make it harder for the.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there, you guys. Kathy Lynn Taylor, Boris Epstein, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Abby.